the sun comes up, the light turns on, and the natural world erupts into a new day. Animals wake in burrows, colonies, and branches to sing the sun's praises and launch into their daily chores. In the Pacific, every day is a migration. From the dark depths, up into the light. From the open sea to sheltered reefs, and back again. Around its many islands, life is a daily struggle to eat, live, and love. In the hours from dawn to dusk. On a calm September night, a few hours before dawn, the Pacific looks placid. But around its many islands, it's all on. Below the surface, white-tip reef sharks are in a frenzy. They own the Pacific's reefs at night. There appears to be no prey, but the white-tips know where the fish are hiding. The sharks gather in a pack and force themselves into every nook and cranny in a group attack that lasts until the morning. But when one catches a fish, it's every shark for itself. As the night draws to an end over this eastern Pacific reef, so does the attack. The little white-tips have earned their sleep. They don't have to swim to keep water flowing over their gills. So they spend much of the day huddled up in caves for safety. Bigger hunters like tiger sharks now rule the water. They'd eat a white-tip for breakfast if they found one. Life in the Pacific centers around the tiny islands of Polynesia and the Indonesian archipelago that separates it from the Indian Ocean. Although the dawn has reached the east, it's still dark at the Pacific's westernmost edge. In Komodo National Park, male green sea turtles catch some final Z's for the night. Wedged securely between two rocks, this guy uses only half his normal oxygen rations. But this female is hard at work. She's migrated hundreds of kilometers to be here. And that was the easy part. As an air-breathing reptile, she must lay her eggs on land. Otherwise, her babies would not be able to breathe inside their eggs. Which means Mum must drag her 200-kilo body up above the high tide mark. She was born on this beach herself, so as far as she knows, it's a safe place to nest. But really, it's a numbers game. She excavates a hole 1 meter deep with just her flippers. and fills it with around 100 eggs. Only a few of them will survive. Most will fall victim to nest raiders and other predators. Mum has done all she can. She returns to the sea, exhausted. But her journey pales compared to what is about to unfold further out to sea. Any minute now, the world's greatest mass migration begins. As it does every dawn. Under the cover of darkness, trillions of tiny creatures have swum up from the depths to feed closer to the surface. They're zooplankton, a menagerie of baby fish, crustaceans, and simple microscopic animals. Together, they weigh more than all the world's herds of wildebeest, zebra, and caribou. As dawn approaches, they reverse their migration back to the relative safety of deeper, darker water. Any of the little critters caught out after sunrise are sitting ducks. A whale shark skims off a dense patch of plankton that didn't get to safety. It's a lucky break for the world's biggest fish. Usually, it has to filter thousands of liters of water to extract this much breakfast. It passes the rich plankton soup through its gill slits, where rakers collect its tiny prey. But the giant must eat nearly continuously to fuel its hulking body. When it's finished the easy pickings, it dives in pursuit of the fleeing microorganisms. Swimming in the plankton soup are millions of fish larvae. And soon, there'll be more. In the tiny Pacific island nation of Palau, the morning of the full moon is a signal. We can't read it, but these red snapper can. The normally solitary reef fish gather in their thousands. They migrate from all corners of the reef to this specific spot and wait. When they judge conditions to be right, they swim out beyond the drop-off and fade into the blue. Although a squadron of hungry sharks has no trouble spotting them. The snappers risk their lives for the chance to spawn the next generation. The strongest shove their way to the front of the pack. So when the females release their eggs, they're in the best position to release their sperm. The currents sweep the fertilized eggs away from the drop-off. They'll take their chances in the relative safety of the plankton soup. Many will still die, but some will grow, find reefs of their own, and repeat the cycle. On a reef in New Guinea, one of the Pacific's most mysterious creatures searches for one last meal before it gets too light. It's a chambered nautilus, a primitive relative of octopus and squid. Sensory rods near its eyes guide it to the smell of carrion. Which it grabs with 90 grooved tentacles. But the rising sun is the signal for the nautilus to disappear. Even though its eyes are basically pinhole cameras, they're good enough to tell it that it's time to hide from predators with better eyesight. Its shell has many gas-filled buoyancy chambers. The nautilus lives in the first one. The others it can fill with water to sink to safety like a submarine. Then it looks for a safe, rocky crevice. Now it rests, refilling its chambers with gas it extracts from its own blood. By dusk, it will have regained its buoyancy. In contrast, the nearby reefs of Raja Ampat are now awash with morning sunlight and renewed activity. Many small fish have survived the night by hiding in crevices or friendly anemones. Morning ignites a feeding frenzy. Currents churning over the reef sweep planktonic animals to the surface. The water is too shallow and the currents too strong for them to descend to safer depths. A whirlwind of baitfish may be chasing plankton caught up in the currents. Or are they trying to shake their own pursuers? Pygmy devil rays are little cousins of the manta. They're plankton eaters too, mostly. They also love fish small enough to swallow whole. And then, the real thing arrives. Mantas only visit the reefs by day. What they do at night is a mystery. She may have been feeding on migrating plankton in the open sea, but she's still hungry. Somersaults keep her where the plankton soup is thickest. She's the first of her kind to arrive this morning. But many more are on their way. Indonesia's stunning biodiversity isn't limited to its colorful reefs. As the tide begins to ebb, even its mudflats reveal a flamboyant touch. All manner of fiddler crabs emerge from burrows. 8 different species on this mudflat alone. They dance to the beat of 2 different drums. The cycle of day and night, but also the cycle of high tide and low. The morning's low tide is their peak of activity. They breathe much better in air than in water. So they race to do everything they need to do before the sea returns, like cleaning out burrows damaged by the tide. Once the chores are done, it's time to sift delicious, nutritious detritus from the mud. They leave little balls of inedible sand behind. Female fiddlers have a distinct advantage. They have 2 feeding claws. It's their preference for partners with big claws that created the lopsided males. Males spend a lot of energy waving at them from afar, each trying to be the first to wave and get noticed. They may play the fiddle, but the females call the tune. Much of the time, the only attention they get is from another male. If neither backs down, there's only one thing for it. An epic claw wrestle. A good burrow is worth fighting over, especially in front of the opposite sex. But she seems more interested in food. Sorry, fella. Better luck next tide. If there are easier ways of attracting a mate, the news hasn't reached Amami Island off Japan. Today is the day this little white-spotted pufferfish finishes his magnum opus. He's worked on it solidly for a week. Starting with the central circle and then the radiating furrows and ridges. It's meant to put him in a good light. He's the only fish we know of who makes such elaborate love nests. The plan is to impress the pants of a female puffer. He plows one last furrow, using only his fins for tools. And adds a touch of decoration. Who could resist such a beautiful invitation? Hopefully an art lover will discover it soon. Because his creation needs constant maintenance and protection. And what if these Philistine trevally trample it before the reviews are in? It doesn't bear thinking about. Thousands of kilometers to the south, Tasman boobies make nests that are strictly functional. By mid-morning, only one parent is on each nest. The other is out fishing to provide for Junior. Once eaten to the brink of extinction by sailors, these boobies survive only on isolated islands, like the Kermadecks. These islands are volcanic cones rising from the ocean floor. Draped in coral and festooned with rich marine life. That's what attracts the boobies above, and these massive schools of Galapagos sharks below. But they're no threat to the island's largest visitors. A mother humpback whale and her calf spend the morning playing in a sheltered bay. They arrived at the islands 5 days ago to rest and catch their breath. They're 1,000 kilometers into an incredible migration. The mother hasn't eaten since she left Antarctica 3 months ago. Since then, she's swum to the tropics, given birth, and suckled her calf. All of it fueled by fat reserves she laid down last Antarctic summer. As her calf grows bigger, she grows thinner. And the hardest part of the journey still lies ahead. 5,000 kilometers to go before she feasts again on rich krill in the 24-hour polar days. Sadly, another calf was not up to such an epic journey. Perhaps this one succumbed to exhaustion. Its baby fat now fuels the Galapagos sharks instead. But they couldn't have made those big bites. So what did? A great white returns. Perhaps she is the killer. Perhaps just another scavenging opportunist. The incredible efforts this calf's mother made were for nothing. She'll continue her migration alone. while one giant relies on fat reserves, another survives by feeding all the time. It's midday on the reefs of Raja Ampat, and the mantas are at their busiest. Their numbers have built all morning, and now they are at their peak. The reason for their gathering, like so much about mantas, remains mysterious. But while they are here, one of their favorite activities is getting clean. The salons are open for business, and there's a cleaner fish here for every conceivable customer. Gills are especially important to this batfish. And even the scariest morays need their vicious teeth cleaned. Not to mention the messy eaters, like this reef-munching hawksbill turtle. Mantas are now queuing up at the cleaning stations for a good once-over. This male solicits the services of fish that specialize in parasite and dead skin removal. He hovers in the current, exposing the parts of him most in need of cleaning. His wings, gills, and mouth. As midday passes, the enigmatic mantas slowly start moving back to deeper waters. In Palau, the midday sun also signals a turning point. The limestone islands are remnants of ancient coral reefs. They're full of crevices that connect lakes on the islands to the sea. Golden jellies trapped in this lake for thousands of generations have evolved a unique behavior. They all started the day at the western end of the lake. They'd prefer to be solitary animals. But they're all stuck in this pond together, and they all have the same plan. Head for the sun. They get 2/3 of their energy from photosynthesizing algae that live inside their bodies. The jellies rotate to expose them evenly to the sun. In return, the algae inject food straight into their host's tissue. By midday, millions of jellies are halfway across the lake. Most go no further. Jellyfish eating anemones lurk at the lake's eastern end. Any maverick jellies that venture there tend not to return. The masses turn around and follow the setting sun back to the safe western shore. It also means they'll start tomorrow morning in pole position to repeat the cycle. Off Japan, the pufferfish's mind is firmly set on repeating the cycle of life. He's repaired the damage done to his 2-meter mandala by a rampaging shoal of trevally. It is once more a sight to behold. And by early afternoon, someone comes to do just that. It's a female, round and heavy with eggs. Her contribution to the next generation. Now she inspects his creation. His design is not just beautiful, it serves a practical purpose too. No matter which way the current flows, the furrows funnel fine sand to the center. It's one of the criteria on which she judges his workmanship. So he stirs it up for her to admire. She approves. They court, ever so briefly. And as soon as she lays her eggs in the bullseye, her part is done. But the little male stays behind, on guard duty. Egg thieves lurk all around. But some are very well disguised. While Dad is dealing with one set of intruders, another sneaks in the back way. The flounder's masterful disguise allows him to get much closer. Nearly at the inner sanctum. Not likely. Puffer Dad has intruder detecting superpowers. He thwarts his nemesis. Again. And again. And again. Like a true supervillain, the flounder always comes back for more. And Puffer Dad always comes to the rescue. The poor guy has 6 more days of this until his eggs hatch. Tasman boobies parent a little differently. Their chick had a younger sibling once. The firstborn pushed it out of the nest. It's now feeding the fishes at the bottom of the cliff. Mum and Dad don't interfere in sibling rivalries. But the surviving chick gets an excellent upbringing. In the bay below, the humpbacks are having an afternoon get-together. More migrating whales have made it to the pit stop in the Kermadecks. For the males, it's a chance to share a song. They sing for hours on end. They learn new verses from each other and carry them home. In 2019, scientists studying their songs revealed that a particularly catchy refrain spread across the Western Pacific in just 2 years. After 5 days resting and socializing, the humpback mother and her calf are ready to continue their journey. They head out of the sheltered bay for the open sea. Next stop, dinner in Antarctica in 2 months' time. Although Komodo dragons are capable swimmers too, they're homebodies rather than explorers. They have everything they need on their tropical islands in Komodo National Park. The 3-meter-long adults have spent the middle of the day lying in the shade, trying to stay cool. By afternoon, they're ready to hit the beaches. The water is refreshing, but that's not why they've come. They're looking for food, tasting the air for it. Prey can be scarce in the dry season. But you never know what random offering the sea will wash up. A whole turtle today. Not particularly fresh, but dragons have cast iron stomachs. There's still good meat in here, somewhere. But why is it so hard to get the last bits out of the bottom of the packet? Right. What's for dessert? Not everyone gets a free meal from the ocean. With dusk rapidly approaching, some of the park's underwater residents still need to catch a meal the old-fashioned way. Unfortunately, frogfish are not fast movers. They're ambush hunters that rely on hiding in plain sight. It's a simple trick. Imitate something harmless and keep very still. I'm just a rock. I'm just a silly old sponge. Its prey doesn't suspect a thing. But the frogfish spies, all with its beady little eyes. Still just a sponge. No, I'm not. And I'm fast when it counts. It's last orders too for the cuttlefish. Super smart relatives of the nautilus. Unlike the pinhole eye of its cousin, this broad-club cuttlefish has finely crafted lenses. It also has polarized vision and high-tech W-shaped pupils that improve contrast. The tools of a daylight hunter, so he'd better get a wiggle on. Crabs hoping to stay still and not be noticed seldom get away with it. But sometimes, the cuttlefish just seems to enjoy messing with its victims. Instead of sneaking up, it strobes. The crab seems hypnotized by the light show. Mind blown. It's dinner. As the sun starts its final descent, the underwater world is the first place to get dark. The fading light is the cue for creatures that rely on eyesight to hunt or evade detection to wind up their day. But the nightlife is getting an early start. Glamorous female mandarin fish gather on outcrops. They've come to watch the bigger males strut their stuff. Not one, but two suitors fancy their chances. That's going to cause trouble. Fins up, they try intimidation first. When that fails, it's on. The loser signals submission and slinks off to cool his heels in a crevice. The winner gets his dance partner. He lifts her up high on his pelvic fin, in an intimate embrace that ensures they're as close as can be when they release eggs and sperm in perfect synchronicity. By doing it at sunset, they've avoided the sight hunters that dominate the reef by day, and given their offspring the best chance to join the plankton soup. On the reefs, the time of sharks is here again. Wobbegongs start looking for good spots to lay an evening ambush. And another strange walking predator appears. A shark this time. They look primitive, but scientists think that walking sharks are the most recently evolved sharks of all. It's the ferret of the reef. Sniffing out every nook and cranny of the complex obstacle course. Crabs, little fish, or seafloor-dwelling worms are what it's after. There's no escaping its electroreceptors and keen sense of smell. Not even by hiding in the sand. The worm stays in, the sand gets blown out. And on to the next meal it goes. Now it's getting dark above the waves too. In the jungles of the Philippines, another highly specialized predator gets ready for action. It's a tarsier, the world's only purely carnivorous primate. And weighing 160 grams in the rain, one of the smallest. It waits for nightfall, when its prey is most active, which is why it has these huge forward-facing eyes, each one bigger than its brain. Now, to find a meal. And avoid run-ins with its own nocturnal predators. The tarsier frequently pauses, silently watching and listening for prey. But some of its own predators are also silent assassins. A mangrove snake is big enough to be a threat. But the owl-eyed tarsier quickly spots the danger. It leaps to the safety of a tree 3 meters away and refocuses on its main mission. The tarsier hears its prey with ears just as supercharged as its eyes. They swivel independently to pinpoint its location. There it is. Food. Oblivious food. Now the eyes acquire their target. The silent tarsier has the element of surprise. It'll continue its acrobatic rampage until the sun returns. A day in the Pacific is like no other. As the tropical sun tracks high overhead, it fuels battles on the beaches, sex in the shallows, and a constant commotion in the ocean.
Hey Love Nature fans, be sure to like and subscribe to catch all our wild animal stories. Get closer to nature right here on YouTube.